Hi, test test. Good morning, good night. My name is Supporter Pets Farmer 2927, and yeah, long time no see. So I haven't made a video in about probably like 2 months. In case you didn't know, I was conscripted into NS, so I've been doing my basic military training for the last 2 months, but I'm almost done. So I'm gonna finish my BMT this Saturday actually. There's been a lot of things that has happened since I've gone. I'm not sure if I want to update honestly, but I'm gonna shift my content at least for this video away from the stuff that I usually talk about, which is academics related and Singapore education related, and I'm gonna talk about starting your own business. All right, it's definitely something that a lot of kids in school right now do know that they want to try in the future. Not everyone wants to work a 9 to 5 in the future. Everyone has their own aspirations, right? um, Business has been something that I've been looking into, like, with a lot of effort since the start of the year. So give it or take about like 4 or 5 months. And yeah, I've spent almost 100% of my time in the last 3 months learning about business. My bad, let me mute that. Specifically online business models like e-commerce. And I've gotten the opportunity to talk to many people who run six-figure a month plus businesses. Actually, that isn't a flex, because I later came to find out that 6 figures a month is considered average in the online business space. But I just want to share my findings and some of the really valuable things that I've learned. I'm gonna list out a few things that can and will very heavily influence whether or not you're successful in business. And for the record, I'm not pursuing any business ventures as of right now due to my national service obligations, and I comply by all of the rules of the SAF, including no moonlighting. Okay, so firstly, one of the main things that you should know if you want to do good business is to move fast. Now, what do I mean? Um, Business is all about execution, right? You're just taking a bunch of decisions, over a period of time. When you make those decisions, you have to be fast. You cannot afford to sit and wait and ponder, is this the right thing to do? Is this kind of like and you definitely can't wait like a week or 2 weeks or a month before, especially when you're first starting, right? You just gotta go get stuff done. Really, I don't know how else to explain it, but you know you can only progress as fast as your actions. And if you're moving slow, don't be surprised when your business isn't progressing either, right? Money loves quickness, or money loves speed. People who act fast will always get to the money first and more efficiently. Another thing is to plan ahead. Now, this is something that I've practiced in my life for about 3 years now, and I feel like applying to business is even more essential. It's a trait that a lot of other good founders, regardless of business model, they all have, which is the ability to plan ahead. Now, I'm not talking about the super short term, like maybe 1 or 2 days, you know planning what I'm gonna eat for breakfast tomorrow. I'm also not gonna talk about like 1 year into the future, 2 years into the future. That's a bit long term. I'm talking about maybe 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. That's sort of that mid-term planning. If you can excel at that, if you can weigh out the possibilities, see the possibilities, and talk to people to find out what are the possible outcomes that could realize themselves to you and your business, it will help you so much, because you will find the outcome that you want to optimize towards, and everything that you need to do will just start falling into place. People get mixed up. They think that you know they're lost in a business or anything, in fact, because there's just so many options to take and you don't know which option to choose, when in actuality, if they were actually if they actually understood the end goal that they were trying to achieve to a very high degree, the option would show itself and it will be absolutely clear, right? What it will be absolutely clear what you need to do to achieve that outcome if you completely understand what the outcome entails, what are the various, side effects or, consequences or, checkpoints that are needed to reach that outcome. Like right now, it's 1st of June. I've already, put plans in place, or how to say, I'm already thinking about, what's going to go on in September, what's going to go on in November, December, etc. And it's really, really important to be able to, you know, not really see the future, because who can read the future, right? But plan ahead. Third, get a mentor. Like, please, I've already said this so many times in my previous videos. I can't stress this enough. Mentors will speed up your process by like 100 times, because you know when you're starting, like everyone is just facing that same steep learning curve. But when you have a mentor that has already gone through all the problems before, he already knows all the solutions, he knows people that can help solve different problems, bro, your life just becomes 10 times, 100 times easier. You If your mentor is willing, he can even share you his own protocols that he uses to do what he does. Of course, be careful when you choose your mentors, especially in the online business space. There are a lot of mentors that are trying to scam you, that they'll take your money and then they won't entertain you. They'll just like kind of scam you. Thankfully, personally, I haven't met any of those types of people, but you definitely want to be careful. And one of the ways that I like to pick my mentors is I like to find some sort of common ground with them, right? I don't want them to be some Azerbaijan guru who has a completely different background from me, right? I want someone who I can relate to. Maybe it could be as simple as like a hobby, like we both like going to the gym. Then okay, then I can peep game. I can say, okay, you're someone who likes to go to the gym. You probably have the same mindset of consistency as discipline as me. I want to work with you. Or it could be someone in the same geographical location as you, who understands your context, who has been through different uh hardships that you yourself may have faced. Or it could be someone with a very similar business idea or business model that you're aiming to run. That could also be it. So always try to find a common ground between your mentor and your goals or your current situation. And please, like, don't, when you get a mentor, don't be like a bad student as well. You don't want to annoy your mentors, like they're human too. So for me, I'm homies with all my mentors. Every single mentor that I've had beyond just business. Like previously, I had a mentor for college applications. Before that, I had a mentor for programming, and before that, I had a mentor for powerlifting and gym. All of these mentors, like people who are older and more experienced than me, we're all friends now. Even though some of them I might not still work with under a mentor-client relationship, we're still friends because I'm a good client. I treat the mentors as humans. I treat them as friends, and at the end of the day, it's a human relationship, right? Um, it's People think that mentor client relationships are like entirely transactional in the form of money, right? The client pays the money and the mentor gives the value, be it through information or whatnot. But actually, it's so much more than that, right? The relationship between you and your mentor can last like decades, and that relationship, you will find, oftentimes, more oftentimes than not, will be maybe 5 times or 10 times more valuable than the monetary value you pay to your mentor. Of course, exceptions do apply depending on what mentor you choose. All right, fourth, this is about mindset, right? Not everyone can start a business. Really, business isn't made for everyone. Businesses are highly risky. There's a high chance that you will fail, and you need to have a certain type of mindset approaching business. One of them is consistency, right? Being able to show up every day and putting in the work into your business, being able to focus on the inputs instead of being emotionally attached to the outputs of the business, right? Having faith, despite non-linear progress. Business is not something where you're gonna see tangible progress every week to week or month to month, right? It's peaks and troughs. You never know, like, how fast you're gonna accelerate or how fast you're gonna come to a screeching halt. And so please don't expect anything. You're not entitled to anything. um, at the end of the day, you need to have faith that despite whatever outcomes, maybe your business is failing, you haven't taken it off the ground yet, but just have faith that your own effort, your own persistence, and your ability to iterate and improve upon your mistakes over time is going to lead you to where you want to be. And people who aren't able to be consistent in other areas of life, they definitely will not be able to be consistent in business, because the same thing really applies. Now, fifth, I always recommend people who start a business to please, like, don't do it if you don't have a stable income. Even if you do have like a fixed capital source, let's say you have 5k, 10k in savings, I would still be a bit like cautionary towards that. I would still encourage everyone to have some sort of stable income, be it allowance from your parents if you're a kid, or if you're an adult, a job, because businesses do fail. A majority of businesses fail tragically, and you definitely do not want to be emotional with any of your business decisions, right? If you're stuck on, let's say, if you know in your head that you have a 5k limit, right? You only have 5k to make this business work. The moment you hit a small, like, challenge, or maybe you make a small mistake that causes you to lose 1k, dude, straight away you just start stressing and you panic. And when you panic, you won't be able to make any good business decisions. You'll start making mistakes, in fact mistakes that will cost you even more money, and that'll just spiral. So when you get a job, it mitigates all that. You have that comfort and security that you're, even if this business fails, you're still safe, you won't go homeless, and you have a constant stream of income or capital from your job to support your business, even if your business isn't making money. So that's why I always recommend, try to find a income source of sorts. Or if you can't, then maybe find an investor. Now, six, 99% of problems that you face in business can be solved by one of two things. Number one, money. Number two, connections. Now, I really do believe this is true because I faced it myself. Like, the problems that you face, especially as a beginner who is trying to, get off running, just trying to start out, the problems that you face are highly, 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 highly likely to have been faced by the dozens of entrepreneurs who have come before you, right? So, and for every problem, there's a solution. So how do you find that solution? Well, you obviously got to go talk to the entrepreneurs who have faced it before. I mean, you could deal with it yourself. Like, you could, ram your head into the wall and try to find the solution. But why would you do that? Seriously, like, especially like ramming your head into the wall. Depending on the problem, it could cost you thousands of dollars. Like, some problems can be, really, really serious and hard to resolve yourself unless you have that prior knowledge, that prior expertise. Again, this comes back to getting a mentor. But if you don't have a mentor, number one, mostly people, if a problem is severe enough, like, people will be charging money to, like, give you an information or a service in order to help you solve that problem. So you can pay that money to solve the problem. Most of the time it's worth it. Like, seriously, you want to be focused on um other aspects of your business that are, like, revenue generating. You don't really want to focus on more annoying problematic parts that are causing headaches, right? You want to outsource that and get that resolved as quick as possible so they can get back to making the money. Secondly, connections. Like, yeah, dude, not everything has to be about money, right? Connections are so important in business. I see, people around me, they always say they struggle to find connections, and that's because they see every single, like, person that they look up to, they automatically put them on a pedestal, and they're like, man, how do I even make friends with this guy? He's already succeeded. Like, why would he want to do with someone like me? Like, that is the totally wrong way to approach it. I believe everyone is approachable, and you should see your mentors or people you look up to as maybe your future self. That could be you if you locked in for 2-3 years. So you're just talking to a future self. Stop tripping, you know. Treat these guys as real human beings. Don't fucking go and suck their dick. Don't be annoying. Just be a chill person, and you will make friends in the space. Um, I've found that so many of my problems have been solved by just knowing a guy who knows a guy. Um, by the way, most of my connections are or like friends who I know who are doing online businesses. I only know them online. Like they are in completely different parts of the world. I don't know anyone in real life that actually does online businesses or actually has a business right now. Um, so finding these friends that you can relate to, that you can chase the same goals together online is really really important. Surrounding yourself with a support circle, be it through mentors or family or friends, is also really important. I just want to emphasize, like, your network and your ability to make people like you is gonna affect your business in a really 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 big way. Your business is a projection of yourself in a sort of way. So if you are likable and you receive the benefits of having good social support, and a good network, your business also reaches that benefit. Okay, it's just intuitive. Now, seventh, again, back to mindset. Like, how much do you really want your business to work? Right? You must truly believe it before you manifest that success into reality. This is something that I've heard from so many people, and I truly believe it's true. You cannot just like wish for something like, man, I really wish I could, have $1 million right now. That seriously isn't enough. You must have a really, really good and passionate reason that you truly believe in as to why you need this business to work. You need it to work, right? It's your only way out. It's not enough to just have the business be an option, right? You must dig deep and do some true introspection, understand your true feelings, right? A lot of people say they want to be rich, but actually they don't really want to be rich. They just want the feeling that are associated with being rich. For example, the feeling of abundance, the feeling of being stress free, not being needing to worry about expenses, the feeling of being able to find love, things like this, right? So I want to encourage you to really understand your reason for wanting to do business. It really has to be deeper than I just want to get rich, right? Understand your true desires. You yourself are human. It's okay to admit where if your reason is stupid. Don't ever let someone tell you that your reason for wanting anything is stupid. Okay, if you feel that desire, it exists, right? Don't deny it. But I just implore you to please understand yourself on a deeper level, because if not, you're really just wandering blindly, and you could waste a whole decade chasing something when you could have achieved what you desire by going a much much simpler route. On the other hand, if you do find your true reason and your true meaning and purpose as to why you want to do this, then everything will become so much clearer. You will achieve so much more clarity, uh, as to like your progress, or a timeline, or basically what you need to do, or your emotions will also be much more clearer, and they'll help with the business as well. And that is the reason why the people who believe in their vision or their future the most, they are the most likely to manifest it, because they have a really 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 good fucking reason to manifest it. And lastly, I want to give you an indicator as to I've noticed that people who fall within this specific bucket of people tend to do really well in business. um I must say that I have a limited sample size. I don't know that many people, but I've talked to enough, like, successful business owners at this point where I feel like I should share this sort of hasty generalization that I have. Essentially, if you fulfill one of these two criteria, you are pretty likely to be a good businessman. Now, number one is you were ranked highly in a video game of sorts. And when I mean ranked high, I mean like, top 1%, top 0.1%, very, very high, as in like your name is on the leaderboards, right? If you were able to achieve that, it basically shows that you were introduced to a system and you were able to play the system and improve in the system so well through whatever feedback loops you may have, whatever mindset of persistence and discipline that you have, in order to beat all these other people in the same system, right? And that essentially is business, honestly, because the entire business ecosystem is all man-made, right? It's all a system that you can either work for the system or you can make the system work for you. So the second sort of trait that I see is people who are really jacked. Like they're in the gym, or they're running or they're cycling. They have like really good physiques. Now, why is that? My guess is that working out, or achieving the physiques that they do have, probably takes a long time. Actually, not probably. It does take a long time. Especially muscular physiques. Um, they take a lot of years in the gym in order to build if you don't take steroids, and that type of consistency and discipline and being able to push through failure and pain. More importantly, people who do have good physiques, I find that most of them actually have some past trauma in their life that actually spurred them to chase um their physique as like a goal, or like as a way to cope with their trauma. And so having this kind of rich life experiences, like, really, really, really fortifies their mindset and their mind. And so if you're someone who has been working out, or has been working on your physique for like a really long time to a decent degree of success, I would say that you should probably give business a shot, because it's not that far-fetched from the mental game side of things. All right. It's about 22 minutes, so I'll wrap it up here. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is probably like the highest value video that um you could probably watch as a beginner, honestly, because if you follow like all 8 of the things that I've just mentioned, and you truly internalize what they mean, and you execute on it, think the first one, move fast, right? If you are able to move fast and execute based on what I've just told you, you will probably do well in business. Uh, it it's not that deep, but it is also that deep at the same time. So uh I wish you guys all the best if you do pursue business. If you don't, it's also fun to learn about these type of things. And I don't think the stuff that I've just talked about is solely applicable to business alone. If you apply, I'm sure if you apply it to other aspects of life, you'll find success with them too. Wow, damn, I haven't plugged my services in a long time, but yeah, I do college application services for Singapore students applying to the USA colleges, including but not limited to Harvard, Yale, Stanford, Princeton, MIT, or all the other T10, T50 schools, anything. So if you guys want help with that, feel free to email me in the description below. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully I get back to posting soon, or not. We'll see if I feel like it. All right. See you guys. Bye bye.